Everybody, we just wanted to give everybody a chance to settle in. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. I hate being behind a podium, but I have to do the little PowerPoint thing, so I have to stop. My name is Alison Jacobson. I am a motivational speaker. I am also known as the safety mom. I'm a national safety expert. I frequently appear on TV talking about all sorts of safety issues, from newborns to teens, cyberbullying. I've moved on from that and now talk about senior safety issues, and I'm the caregiver to now 2 generations of men in my life. My husband has progressive MS. He was diagnosed 4 weeks after we got married 3 years ago. My son has intellectual disabilities, and a month ago my dad died of Alzheimer's. So up until a month ago, I was a caregiver for 3 generations of men in my life. Along with that, I am the mother to 3 other kids. My first died of sudden infant death syndrome in 1997, and that's what kind of got me into talking about child safety and infant safety. Got married, as I said, and my husband has 4. So on any given weekend, we have 5 under the age of 15, with the oldest having intellectual disabilities. I work full-time, do a lot of things, as do all of us. So I was an only child. I didn't even know what I was getting into. This was just crazy, absolutely crazy for me. But what was interesting was before this I was in public relations, and my gift has always been communications. And when my son died, I realized I needed to do something else. I really needed to make some sort of difference, and I started a child safety company. And then I went on to do blogging because I love communicating, and I felt like while SIDS is unpreventable and unpredictable, childhood accidents are the leading cause of death. And I felt if I could communicate and get messages out, that would be great. Fast forward to my dad with Alzheimer's, my son with intellectual disabilities, and then my husband with MS. And I said, there's more than just child safety and teen safety, there's adult safety. So I started yet another company, Accessible Home Living, and we do disability remodeling, we install wheelchair ramps, we make homes accessible. And then I started thinking about all these pieces in my life and saying, where am I going? Why did all these things happen? And what was I meant to do? And I got involved in talking to a lot of other women and men, but mostly women. And I realized, wow, this is what I was meant to do. This is what I love. I did a speaking engagement like this yesterday, and 4 people were here. I will talk to 1 person. I've done speaking engagements for American Express. I'll talk to 1,000 people. But my feeling is we all have connections. I blog frequently, and every day I write an inspirational message. And I said that all of us are really the same. We live in a very affluent area of Fairfield County, and we all have these connections of school and life and work. But when we get down to the fundamentals and we make a connection on a very real human level, we find out that all of us have struggles and fears and passions. And I could sit down with each and every one of you at coffee and realize, wow, we've got something in common. And when we just take away all of that external stuff and get down to the basics, we basically have all the same fears and same insecurities. And one of the biggest insecurities I find, especially with women, is we're not good enough. We're not good enough, we're not doing enough, we're trying to be everything to everyone, especially when we're caregivers. And we say, oh my gosh, I'm a lousy mother, I'm a lousy wife, I'm a lousy daughter, I can't do it all. And that happened to me, because not only did I go through all of this, I went through a horrible divorce. I went through emotional abuse, verbal abuse. He basically said, I will financially destroy you, and he did. So I was living in Wilton. He wouldn't leave the house. He basically sent it into foreclosure. I left with my 3 kids, rented another house in Wilton, and literally declared bankruptcy, had absolutely no money, and was living amongst all these gorgeous homes. I had to apply for financial aid. Then my new husband came along. He was working, but all of a sudden he has progressive MS, went rapidly downhill. So all of a sudden now, not only am I caring for my 3 kids, I'm caring for my husband, I'm working my tail off, and I've got all of these women around me saying, don't you want to come out and play tennis, or where's your housekeeper? And I'm like, are you kidding me? So it got real, really quickly for me and my kids. One of the things that I found, and I will go forward because this is my perfect life. Yeah, this was my wedding day, and these are all of my kids, and it was absolutely wonderful. But this is the picture perfect version of my family. This is the everyday version. And it's messy, but it's fun. Sorry, it's a little dark, but it's fun and it's wonderful. And I moved into a rented house, and I said to my kids, look, we've got a couple options. And it was a little tricky because my oldest has intellectual disabilities. I mean, he's got an IQ of 70. He's never going to live on his own. He's 15. He's 6'2". He's absolutely tall as can be. He is the sweetest, most loving kid you're ever going to meet. But right now, he's probably at a third grade mentality. And I said, what I need to do is make sure that this kid is going to be equipped to live out in the real world. So Spencer at 15 makes his own bed, does his own laundry, makes dinner, makes lunch, cleans the dishwasher, empties the sink. He does a lot. My other girls, I'm like, you know what? You need to help out with homework. So we are a well-defined team. And when they, it's really funny, my little one, my 8th grade, my little 8-year-old said, Mom, I go to school and my friends in the cafeteria say, I can't wait to see what Mom packed me for lunch. And I say, that's ridiculous. You should be packing your own lunch. And it's true. And thank God I've taught them that. But I didn't have a choice. My life got really imperfect really quickly. I started out living in Southern California. I had my own business. Everything was wonderful. And I never, in my wildest dreams, anticipated my life would look like this. When I got married to my husband, I didn't anticipate that he's probably going to end up in a wheelchair. He was a pro golfer. I envisioned us retiring to California and playing golf. That's not going to happen. So this whole perfect world I created for myself became really imperfect pretty quickly. But along the way, I started saying, you know what? It doesn't have to be imperfect. All of us deal with what we're dealt with, and it's how we're going to deal with it and how we're going to recreate our life. And this was the beautiful kitchen I was going to have in Wilton, and this is how everything was going to look, and spick and span and nice. Well, again, this is how it looks. And they're having fun. And it's messy on a daily basis, but you know what? It's ours. And as women, we've come a long way. We now have higher rates of university attendance than men. We serve in combat. We represent nearly 60% of the workforce. So we're doing it all, and we assumed we could do it all. And the problem was, we are doing it all, and no one else is stepping up to the plate. So all of a sudden now, we're also the caregivers. 2 out of 3 caregivers are women. Whether it's the daughter-in-law or the daughter, it's the woman who's the caregiver for the parents, for the kids, for the siblings, and usually, even if you have a family, I'm an only child, but even when you have a family of 5 siblings, it's usually one that ends up doing most of the work. And all the other siblings are like, sorry, can't do it, don't want to do it, and it falls on one. 74% of adults say that increasing the number of women working for pay has made it harder for parents to raise children. We're getting torn in a million different directions, and we're not feeling good about it. We do feel like we're shortchanging our kids, and we live with that guilt of, oh my gosh, I want to work, I don't want to work, what am I going to do, how am I going to take care of our kids? And approximately 70% of those caring for at least one ill or disabled relative is a woman. I mean, I'm looking around this room, we're all contemporaries. Our population is aging, and if you're not dealing with an adult parent, an aging sibling, you're going to be really quickly, and it's going to get real very quickly. The statistic, our homes, unfortunately, in Connecticut are like Peter Pan homes. No one assumed anyone was going to get old. So we have staircases, we have top floor bedrooms, and it's one fall that happens, one broken hip, and all of a sudden your parents are coming to you and you need to do something. And none of us are usually prepared. We get the call, they're in the emergency room, they're going to be in rehab, they're going to be out in 30 days. What the heck are you going to do? So even if you were going along with your nice life, humming along, something always comes in, whether it's the call from the parents, the call from the school saying something's going on with your teenager. There's always something we're dealing with. Now, the reality is, this is having a huge impact on our family and our relationships. This is only a big slide, I promise you. But family caregivers are dealing with stress at an all-time high. With siblings, we're fighting, we're getting angry. Our kids are sensing it, our spouses are sensing it. We are biting at ourselves, we're biting at each other, we're just finding each other short, and it's not good. 40 to 70% of family caregivers have clinically significant symptoms of depression. I talk to people all day long and they say, no, it's just what I'm going through. And they don't realize it really is clinical depression. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. But what happens as caregivers, oh, I don't have time to go to the doctor. I'll go next week. Oh, you know what? A snow day happened. My kids are off. I can't go. I'll cancel it again. And all of a sudden, that doctor's appointment you scheduled for February is now happening in October. And we're not acknowledging the stress that we're under every day, financially, emotionally, because let me tell you, as soon as that adult parent, that senior parent is having problems, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at nursing home prices or assisted living, but in Fairfield County, $10,000 a month. So I don't care how wealthy you are, all of a sudden you're watching your nest just go away, and it's stressful beyond belief. And this is what we look at. How many of us, I can't tell you how many, this was the other great thing. When I got divorced, my ex, unfortunately, wanted to take it to trial over debt. Who goes to trial over debt? He wanted to go to trial over debt. In the middle of the trial, the judge died. So my trial, that should have lasted only 2 days, went on for 4 months. Right after the judge died, I came home and I'm feeling kind of weird. I'm like, what is this? I got adult chickenpox. Never had chickenpox in my life. So the judge died, I'm broke, and now I have chickenpox. And I am contagious, so I can't go out of the house. I'm looking like Quasimodo. I was just head to toe covered. It was stress. A friend of mine just got shingles. It's stress. And that is what we're all under. Why? Because the media is telling us how we're supposed to look. Did any of you see this Facebook ad? This woman, this was a Facebook, this isn't an ad, this is a real woman who posted on Facebook how fabulous she looks. Seriously? I need to look at this and hear how bad I look? It's like, when I had an 8-month-old, are you kidding me? I was still in maternity clothes. But this is it, I'm fabulous, I look great. And then, of course, Facebook. Now, social media is wonderful. I love my friends, but I'm sick about seeing how they're having parties and cocktails on snow days while I'm just trying to keep my 5 kids in line. And then, as it's snowing, how I'm seeing my friend in Aruba. Love it. Great. So the reality is, once again, we're up here. We're not posting my life sucks or I'm like, cleaning the toilet. No, we're talking about the fabulous parties we're going to. We're not real. We're not sharing. We only want to see this facade. And let me tell you, that's what happened to me in my divorce. Constantly, I was saying to my friends, I'm fine, everything's fine, everything's fine. But then, when it wasn't fine, everybody looked at me and said, well, what happened? Everything was fine. And I didn't let anyone in. I didn't tell anyone. So all of a sudden, people are looking at me and saying, oh, it's just a midlife crisis. You're fine. I wasn't fine. And that's the problem. As women, as caregivers, as people in this community on social media, we want everybody to believe we're fine. We're so scared to let our reality show through because we don't think anyone wants to hear it. Oh, I'm a whiner, I'm a complainer. So we keep it all inside. And what's it doing? It's literally eating us alive physically. It's doing damage to ourselves beyond belief. I have a friend of mine, and she is on this committee and that committee and driving all over the place, and she's telling me she's getting herself ill. And I said, well, why not stop doing something? And she said, I'm afraid to stop being busy, because if I stop being busy, I'm going to have to take a look at my life, and I'm afraid of what it looks like. So we're so busy because we think that's going to save us. And reality is, it's not. Then there's the other problems. All the facades of who's out there. I like to call it the green goddess. The mom who says, I don't feed my kid anything but organic. They never go near any fast food. I have the perfect food. Seriously? I'm sorry. I had McDonald's growing up. I'm here to talk about it. Now, I'm not talking about a steady diet of McDonald's, but it's not going to kill our kids. We're being inundated by our friends, or who we assume are friends, saying, oh, this is the way. And we assume that they're constantly eating. I guarantee you, she's snacking on a bag of Oreos in the dark and not telling anybody. And then, of course, the drop-off divas. The people who show up at the bus stop or the pickup line looking perfect with all the makeup on. Yeah, makes you feel really good about yourself. Whoops, hold on a second there. Stop, there we go. And then I like to call the pretty little liars, like I said, the people that go out to lunch and to tennis and talking about how fabulous their life is, And, you know, it's really funny because living in Wilton, all of a sudden, all these men are at the drop-off lines and they're at Starbucks, and all these people are out of work. And the women are still spending and going everywhere because they don't want to admit it. They don't want to admit it to their friends. They're so scared to let their friends see, oh my gosh, we have a problem. They're so afraid to not spend the money because, oh my gosh, if someone knows, or my daughter has to have the clothes her friends are having because gosh forbid. So it's the Pretty Little Liars who keep saying, oh, everything's fine in my family. And then there's the Wonder Woman. And we look at her saying, oh my gosh, this woman can't be for real. Is she on drugs? Because there's just no way she could be doing all of this. She really isn't doing it all. She's crying, she's on drugs, she's on meds, she's doing something. There is no way anybody can do everything. And if they are, God love them. And then there's the dreaded shoulds. Should be outlawed from the vocabulary. My mom, as I said, my dad just passed away about a month ago. And when my mom has been devoted to my dad for 52 years. She insisted on caring for him by herself. I can do it. I don't need anyone to come in. You know, she was going to do it all herself. She didn't leave his side. So he was in the nursing rehab, and I said, come on, let's just go out for coffee. We went out for coffee. And she said to me, you know, I'm really feeling guilty. I said, about what? She says, well, she said, I really should. She's like, I really should be back at the nursing home. And I said, all right, let's unravel this. Where is this should coming from? She's like, well, I see other wives there with their husbands, and your aunt was always there with your uncle. And I said, those are different things. So those shoulds are coming from so many different places. I should be the PTA mom. I should be out working at a job outside the house. I should not be working at a job outside the house. I should be making crafts and homemade Halloween costumes. So all these shoulds. And when you start unraveling it, where are those shoulds coming from? Everywhere but yourself. And there is, God love them, one person especially, your mother. How many of us are living the way our moms either did or told us we should live? You should be home with your kids. Your mom was home, so I have to do that. Your mother gave you everything, so I should do this for my kids. We live by so many shoulds, and we need to start living for ourselves and putting up those boundaries, politely and lovingly, but we have to. And this is when I finally said, after everything hit and I was a mess, I mean, there was days I literally couldn't get out of bed. I was in a fetal position. I had chicken pox. I was bankrupt. It was just a mess. And I felt bad for my kids. I couldn't be a good mom to them. And fortunately, my new husband, he literally saved my life. He gave me the best gifts anyone has ever given me. He introduced me to Wayne Dyer, Eckhart Tolle, amazing motivational writers and authors. He taught me about meditation and creative visualization and positive affirmations, not just like pie in the sky thinking, but really focusing on positive attention. I got into yoga. Because of him, I started changing the way I ate. And I said, you know what? My house looks a mess. My house is just, we have switches. I don't even know what they do. We had columns outside our house. Termites ate through them. The columns are gone. It's just a joke. But you know what? I'm not perfect. I am imperfect. And you know what? I'm darn proud of it. My house may not look perfect, but I've never been happier. Sometimes, I'll go out without makeup. I've got gray hair coming out, but I feel good about myself. I finally weeded out relationships, and this is hard. When my son was 5, 6, the disabilities didn't really manifest as much, and he had a lot of friends. But as he got older, his friends matured and he didn't. And a lot of the parents didn't know how to deal with my son. It was awkward. And I had to let some friendships go. When I got divorced, there was a lot of friendships that went by the wayside. Friendships I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined. And it hurt. And it was terrible, and even my mom lost some friendships when my dad got Alzheimer's. It's very hard to let those go, but I finally realized if a relationship isn't enriching my life and nurturing my life, it's not helping me. And sometimes you can't let relationships go. If it's a family member or an in-law or something like that, you can't, but you can put up those loving boundaries. I was out with some girlfriends, and it was the mama drama, as I call it, and they were complaining about another mom. And the kids were sitting at the end, and they heard all this complaining. And I turned to my friends and I said, look, I really cherish our friendship, but what I'm hearing is making me feel so bad inside and negative, and I work so hard to feel positive that I can't continue in this conversation. So I'm gonna go to the bathroom, you wrap up the conversation, and when I come back, let's change the subject. And it was inviting, and it was welcoming, and it was calm, but I had to set those boundaries. I had to say, I don't allow toxic conversations in my life. I don't allow those feelings. I mean, yeah, I have pity parties, and yeah, I wake up sometimes, but you gotta bounce out of it. And if you've got the whiners in your life who are gonna enable you to feel bad about yourself, it's just gonna grow and grow and spiral, and that's not gonna help in the end. It really is time to let go of some things. Don't clean that kitchen. You know, you don't have to have the perfectly clean kitchen. Tell your kids no to an after-school activity. Our kids are so programmed to go to ballet and softball and all of that. They can be told no. And so many parents, well, I'm going to disappoint them, or, oh, they really want to do this. Yeah, they are going to be disappointed, but guess what? They're going to be disappointed when they're in college. They're going to be disappointed as an employer. You better start setting them up now. One of the biggest challenges we have as parents in this day and age is the enablers. Everybody gets the trophy. We, monitor their homework. We monitor their college interview applications. We monitor everything. We are not setting them up for success. They need to understand disappointment. They need to understand that things aren't always as rosy as they seem, and you know what? We all need to pitch in. Let's get it real. Have a slacker day. We feel like we always have to be doing things. We have to do things. You know what? It's fine if you sit on the couch one day and watch bad TV or read some trashy novel. The world isn't going to end. It's okay to even admit you do it, because probably half the other friends you have would love to do it as well. They're just afraid to admit they're doing it. Put it out there. And that's what's funny. As soon as you put out that I'm not perfect, I look a mess, other people are going to gravitate to that too. They're just waiting for that one person to break open the door and say, it's okay. I don't have to be this perfect mom, perfect wife, perfect employee. And let your spouse do some of these chores. And I'm so sorry, guys. This is the trap we fall into as women from the minute we have kids to the minute we do anything. We want our spouses to help, but they don't do it just like we want. We send them to the grocery store and they come back with that full-fat sour cream instead of that non-fat sour cream. And the message we say to them is, you can't do it right, so I'm just gonna have to do it all. And it's not a martyr, but we set it up where we're not gonna allow them to do it. All right, so they bought the fat-free sour cream, so they folded the sheets the wrong way or the shirts the wrong way. We need to ask for help from our spouses, from our kids, from friends who can help us, but accept the help on their terms. It's not going to be the way we want it to be, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be. Another day, it'll be the way. But again, we've got to praise and compliment our kids, our family members. Thank you for helping. Awesome job. They want to hear it. They need to know they're feeling appreciated doing it. They don't want to feel like they're doing it the wrong way. So we need to give them that appreciation. One of the things I talk about, especially when it is caring for a disabled person or, an older adult or an older parent, the siblings. We have such a hard time. I was an only child, so in a way I was lucky, but I have my cousin who is a nurse at Stanford Hospital. When my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, my mother didn't want anyone to know. She didn't want anyone to go to the neurologist because then it would be real to her. I couldn't go. I didn't know what the doctor was saying. Half the time they talk over your head. But my cousin knew. She was a nurse. Now, my cousin can't do, estate planning and balancing checkbooks. That's what I do. So when you're looking for help, it's okay to ask for help, but find the right help. Maybe you have a friend who loves shopping and loves gift wrapping. Let them do that. Maybe you have one that loves to do crafts and makes them. Ask them to help with your kids. Maybe you have a sibling that just can't emotionally handle watching your parents get older, or just the baggage just doesn't allow them to be there. Maybe they're the ones that can set up the plans and the emergency plans and all of that. So find the way to ask for help, and don't assume one person can solve all your needs. I have my walking friends. I have my friends from childhood or my drinking buddies. I have my friends who are MS spouses. So you find those groups that can help you and get that support that way. And like we said, get rid of toxic friends. Share the responsibility. one of the most challenging things was 2 years ago when it snowed. My husband, who has MS, was always the one that went out and snowblowed, and he did everything, and we couldn't afford a snowplow, so it's like, okay, he just couldn't do it. And I said, okay, it's gonna be me. And I said to Spencer, Spence, come on, we're gonna go outside, we're gonna shovel. Now, again, because Spencer has special needs, it got to about 2 shovels. He just didn't understand how to do it. He wasn't getting it right, but I'm like, I'm gonna hang in there. And I was cursing and moaning and really feeling sorry for myself because I'm like, this is what my life's gonna be. I'm gonna have to shovel driveways. I don't know how to do it. This is a mess. And I thought of my one friend who is divorced, and she's out there snow blowing and raking leaves. I'm like, if she can do it, I can do it. She's about 4'11". I'm like, if she can, I can. And finally, Spencer and I together finished the driveway. And it was actually the most satisfying and gratifying thing I have ever done, because I went, I can do it. I can do something on my own. I don't need anybody to. And truth be told, if my husband didn't have MS, I never would have been out there doing it. He would have been doing it. But I felt so empowered knowing that I can handle something myself. That also made me have to start questioning the roles and everything I believed what our roles are supposed to be as husband and wife. So now I do a lot of things that are traditionally the male jobs, where my husband is doing more of the female jobs. You know, he can't really stand a long time to cook. Okay, well, I've created an area where he can sit and cook. So I've made the modifications. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but it works. Is it the gourmet meals? No, but he's helping. He feels good. You know, was the driveway exactly the way? I mean, he was staring at me outside the window saying, you're doing it the wrong way, you should go back and forth and back and forth. I'm like, it's getting done. Who cares how it gets done? It's done. So it made me feel good. It certainly made Spencer feel good. And as a mom of a special needs child, I celebrate everything. The fact that my 15-year-old was able to do that was amazing. He goes to a school in Milford, and he just came home and he carved this like little leprechaun bear. And it sounds so silly, but I celebrate those small things that most people overlook. And it is that celebration that gives me so much joy in my life. And I realize that's what it's really about. It's, you know, he may never get a driver's license. That's okay. And it was a little hard the other day. He said, Mom, I don't have a girlfriend. And I said, no, you don't. But I was so proud of him. I turned it around to lemonade, because I said, you don't, but you probably, maybe will someday. I said, and what's the most important thing to know when you have a girlfriend? And he said, I need to respect her. And I went, yes, I did something right, even with my special needs child. So you've got to find those happy moments in your life, whether you have a special needs child, whether you're just so sad over your job. You have to find those few moments of gratitude. And that's what I do every morning. Before I get out of bed, and the last thing at night, I find something to be grateful about. I don't care if it's just a roof over my head that's not leaking, the fact that I was able to rent a house on my own, whatever it is, the smallest things. Because when you start out your day and you end your day with gratitude, it makes such a difference. I also started meditating in the morning, and there's different ways of meditating. There's some where you really just focus on your breathing and focus where you are. I'm much more about a visual person. I lived in LA for 10 years and I miss the Pacific. I'm a beach girl. I said in another life I must have been born on the other coast. But I visualize myself on the beach. I can see it. I can smell it. I can feel it. And it just grounds me. Whatever comes my way that day, it may be horrible, but at least it sets me up in the right way. And it can allow me to say, all right, this really lousy thing happened, and you know what? Tomorrow's going to start again. And I think these are the real life lessons we need to teach our kids too. So much. I do a lot of talking in the schools about cyberbullying and bullying. And yes, we need to do something about the bully, but the bully's always going to be there. What we need to do is something about the victim, but also the bystanders. Because it's been shown so much that when bystanders get involved, that is the best anti-bullying message out there. And the best way we can teach our kids to be self-confident and for bystanders to have the confidence to come forward is to see us happy and confident in saying, we're all going to face obstacles, we're all going to have lousy things happen in life, but you know what? We have a fabulous life. My kids go off to school every day and I say, do something fabulous. Don't have a good day, do something fabulous. Be someone fabulous. And that can change how everybody in your family looks and how your kids are equipped to deal with life when they get out into the real world, because it's not going to be easy. And remember, it's not always greener on the other side. There's a lot of weeds, and especially, you don't know what's happening in the town next to you, in the house next to you. I mean, look, we all see what goes on in Fairfield County, and there's some really ugly stuff. Unfortunately, domestic violence has gone up with all the stress and the pressure out there, the drunk driving, all of the issues out there. We think our neighbor has it good. Again, that's where I get back to having that real conversation. They may look like they have their act together. They may have the most gorgeous house, but you never know what's going on there. Our neighbor, again, rented house, not the greatest house in the neighborhood, but it's my house, next to this huge mansion, as my kids call it. And it was really hard when I first moved in, because they're like, Mom, we want to live in a mansion. And it just immediately, what went up is, I'm not good enough. I'm not giving my kids everything. So it really took a lot not to scream at them and say, how dare you be so selfish, when it really was me. But I stopped and I said, okay, well, why do you want a mansion? And my daughter said, well, there's a lot of big rooms. I said, okay, well, is there a room in particular? Yeah, bedrooms. Okay, well, what do you like about a big bedroom? I can have a bigger closet for all my dolls. So the reality was, she didn't want a mansion. All she wanted was a closet for more dolls. So when you drill down to what it's really about and what they're saying about, oh, my friend has it so much better, it's usually not what you think it is or they think it is. So it's not as good as you might think it is. I don't know, I'm showing my age a little bit, but I don't know how many of you used to watch Saturday Night Live. And this was a character, Stuart Smalley. And he always looked in the mirror, and it was this kind of character, and he was just positive affirmations. And he was always like, doggone it, people think I'm good. I did a presentation about a month ago about women and what about me and what happened to me. And I talked about positive affirmations. And there's a lot of great, you can Google search, but there is positive affirmations about everything. It sounds silly, but it's about time you start looking in the mirror and saying, I am an amazing person. I, for so long, had people come up to me and say, you're great, you're incredible. I'm like, no, I'm not. And then I sat back and I'm like, you know what? I am pretty good. But each of us is. Each of us is a fabulous person. We have wonderful characteristics. We're warm, we're loving, we're kind, and we forget about it. We sell ourselves short so much. We're so fast to say, yeah, I'm attractive, but God, I hate my nose. Or, yeah, I have nice hair, but you know what? I'm fat. No, we are beautiful the way we are. We're beautiful inside, and it's about time that we start focusing on what is perfect about us in this imperfect world, because it's never going to be perfect. It is what you make about it. We get one shot at life. So enjoy it the way you have it. It's imperfect, it's messy. Have fun with it and enjoy life. Take that ride on that roller coaster. People ride on it all the time, and there's the people that sit there white-knuckled. I can't imagine they're having fun. You gotta just let your hands up and let your hair up and say, okay, I'm on the ride. I can't get off now till it's done, so I darn well better enjoy it. So start enjoying it, because it's pretty good. Thank you very much. If you have any questions. I have a couple of cards up here. I do coaching, I do speaking. I'm going to be doing a series of events at Cactus Rose in Wilton, where I'm going to be giving all the money that's raised is going to go to a different charity every month. First one's going to be Easter Seals and then Alzheimer's. But I talk about everything, and I'm more than happy to share blogs with you, share information with you, whatever you might need. So thank you very much.